In case you haven't come across the FIRE movement before, FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. As the name suggests, the focus is to liberate you from the strong influence of money on your life. For example, many people hate their day jobs and want to quit but simply cannot. Others have bills and a mortgage to pay, which means they either work overtime and/or have multiple jobs. And yes, life often feels like a struggle, but there's some things you can do to resolve some of these issues. And that's where FIRE movement was born. The concept of financial independence has probably existed since the day people work for money. Don't quote me on that, it just makes sense that someone would figure this out eventually. The principle of FIRE is simple. Build enough wealth and income streams such that you don't need to work if you don't want to. I've seen different categories of FIRE being thrown around, like lean FIRE, barista FIRE, and I personally think they just make things more confusing rather than helpful. Let the numbers guide you instead, because the numbers simply don't lie. On the road to FIRE, you'll learn to save money, some of which comes at very little cost. For example, you can save on your groceries easily, and here's 5 quick tips on how you can do so. Click on the link right here and don't forget to come back. Other frugal methods involves reducing unnecessary expenditures and also potentially changing your lifestyle, like forgo premium brands for mid-range brand instead. How much you're willing to sacrifice is up to you, but it has a direct impact on how soon you reach FIRE. And that's one reason it's not for everyone. We tend to assume that it's easy to sacrifice the things we enjoy from time to time, but for some people it's simply not worth it. It's important that you know what works for you and what's worth sacrificing. Take another example. Frugal living may involve cutting out luxuries, which for some people includes holidays. But at the same time, those moments you spend with family abroad can be priceless, and no amount of money in the world could replace those 15 years later, for example. Another reason why FIRE may not be for you is that if you're quite happy with life at the moment, let's say you have a steady job, healthy savings, investment to buffer, your job's great, you love it, and your colleagues are nice and the pay is decent. And if that's the case and you're happy, it just doesn't make sense to tighten the belt to aim for FIRE. This is because you're actually enjoying the process and there's no need to really change. If you ain't broke, don't fix it, like they say. Another aspect not thought of is that the quest for FIRE can in itself become a burden, as it may seem the only way out of the situation, when that may not necessarily be the case. This leads to additional pressure, which probably is the last thing you need when you're desperately trying to change your life. The point here is that FIRE is not an answer for every financial problem you have, and perhaps there are more effective solutions to your problem, whether it's debt or a very stressful job. FIRE may not necessarily be the solution there. I came across an article on MarketWatch in which the author mentioned how she embarked on the FIRE journey upon reading the benefits and without considering the potential downsides. Her husband and her ended up giving many things they actually enjoyed until it made them truly unhappy. These included cable TV, eating out, coffee dates, etc. Plus, on top of that, they realized that there were a number of costs they didn't quite factor in, and that would set them back further. In the end, they dropped the quest for FIRE after 2 years. I've put a link in the description in case you want to read the full article. But as you can see, these are the typical pitfalls of FIRE. Basically the wrong approach. As with everything, it's essential to find the right balance for you. It's important to question whether this sacrifice will be worth it. Keeping some of your older habits like eating out, holidays may delay FIRE by say 1 or 2 years, but you probably wouldn't mind working those extra 2 years under a more palatable work-life balance, and that's why it's worth it. Most importantly, never forget why you're pursuing FIRE. Have that goal clear in your mind. Many of us, myself included, want to achieve FIRE more because of the financial independence and less because of the retire early part. I don't necessarily want to retire and sit around and do nothing with my life, but instead there are many things I think will fulfill my life, things like volunteering, painting, or learning how to play a musical instrument, travel, spend time with family, etc. And all of this becomes possible once you're not a slave to money. This is why I'm pursuing FIRE, and I encourage you to write down yours and look at it from time to time to remind yourself of what it is that you're really working towards. And this brings us to the end of my video. I hope it shed some light on why FIRE may or may not be for you. Remember to like this video if you did, and also subscribe if you haven't already for more content. As always, thanks for watching.